Hello, my name is Brant Hunt. My channel on YouTube is Discerning What is True. And what I want to share with you is you're the enemy. You are doing damage to your brothers and sisters. And you think you're doing good, and you're actually doing harm. What do I mean by that? Well, you swallow the Kool-Aid. You actually believe that you are helping people. So you point out people like, all these bad people, that are involved philosophically or psychologically. But the problem is simply is you've adopted their game plan. You are doing what they want you to do. You see, you are divided. You make sure of that. You believe them. And so you bought into their concepts of this. So there, people are talking about George Orwell's trying to warn us such and such. Bullshit. Huxley, such and such, talk about the utopia. That's bullshit, folks. It's a way to cleverly introduce to you to adopt their ideas, and you are planting seeds, so to speak, and destroying everything around you. Progress itself, that the word, as it would say, as Orwell would say in some ways, progress is destruction, you see. Now, is Orwell, some things he says are correct? Well, yes. Yes. But he's also, in a way, he's not warning you. He's actually ingraining you with thoughts that in reality that you're on the other side. This is, again, this classic deal over and over again in our lives, how you are divided. They simply divide you and conquer you. That's how they do it. It's their game plan from day one. And they've been doing this for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And it's just a simple game plan. Why should they change it? Because man has not even evolved. He hasn't gotten any smarter. In fact, he's actually gotten worse. And the sad fact is simply this. The more intellectual you are, the more quote unquote supposedly knowledge or language or whatever you want to call it, you just been what I call compartmentalized. So in reality, simply is you don't know a whole lot about what really is going on. You're just in this little box. I'm studying philosophy. I'm studying political science. They put you in those boxes and you get degrees in those areas. And you think you know something, when in reality, you've already been brainwashed. So what happens, these students, they go out and get jobs either in government or in other areas. And what they do, they bring their stuff they've been taught and begin to implement it throughout all those they teach to. Professors do this for sure. Yes, they definitely do. No doubt about that. Teachers do this. You are the tool that is destroying everything on this planet. You are. Unless you look at yourself in the mirror and see what you really have done. Because you actually see yourself better than others. And they've used that too as a tool to manipulate you. You are the enemy. You bought into what we call the Huxleys, the Shaws, Marx, and others, along with the psychological areas of people such as, what we can say here, Erich Fromm, George Mead, his wife, Auguste Comte, C-O-M-T-E, Jonathan Rawlings Reeds, R-E-E-S, Eric Hoffer, and others. George B. Shaw, I think I might have forgotten him. But the point simply is you are the enemy. You are the one destroying other people. It's not them, it's you. You're carrying their talks, everything, and you're leading people astray. That's a hard message to swallow, folks. You know, I pointed this out 3 or 4 years ago, and I'll point it out again. When I was in college in the late 70s and early 80s, psychology was a Bachelor of Arts degree. It meant simply as what we call the soft science. Those are such courses as sociology, political science, psychology, and probably philosophy fit in those categories. Although philosophy I would consider not a soft science. This is social behavior sciences, okay? So people quote these people as though they're experts, and these guys were the most sick people in this planet. Freud, the Huxleys were sick people. They introduced you to their lifestyle. They introduced to you their immorality in your life. We have something new to offer you, you see, to quote unquote, to manipulate you as though you know something when in reality you don't. And that's how clever they are. They introduce their own lifestyles to you. Like George Mead's wife talks about male and female, talks about what we call it takes more than one woman to raise a family. Oh, really? Where do you get that at? I don't see that in society before, you see. But they would go and say they would do studies in such and such in Africa and such places and say, this is what it is. This is what we should be doing. And so all this is this glamour or supposedly new knowledge they have when reality simply is they themselves lived in themselves a sick life already. You know that Freud had an issue. He had a major issue, folks, with drugs. He was involved in what we call, what's the drug I'm trying to think of? The poppy seed. He was so involved in that they had to do all kinds of things to break him of that. He was actually, quote unquote, involved in it all the time. He couldn't break the habit. And many of these families were, quote unquote, what I call incest. They want to bring their lifestyle to you and say a better way, when reality is you already had the better way, and they actually fool you. So the enemy is not them. You just bought into their ideas. And so when you bought into their ideas, you promote their ideas. So when everybody blames the Huxleys, the quote unquote, all these people, such as the Shaws of Bernard Shaw, I'm trying to think of the other families, I can't think of all of them, but they're part of the Fabian Society. But they even go further back than that. So when reality is simply is you bought into these ideas and you promote these ideas, and you actually are the enemy now. They're dead and gone. They're dead and gone. Now you're promoting their particular lifestyles. This book here, probably what I would call, is probably the only book out there, as far as I know, that really is warning people. Hello, anybody out there? Bats in the Belfry. This is a book that was published by a lady named Ellen McClay, M-C-C-L-A-Y. If you can get a copy of this, which I did, this is an old copy. She spoke out. She had more guts than anybody else I've ever known of, speaking out against the mental health issue and how they create patients that you're mentally something must be wrong with you. So they can create other jobs for people to work for. So they're doing good, aren't they? Really? Don't you see all this stuff about mental health? It's even advertised all over radio as though everybody's got this all this disease, this terrible stuff. And their whole idea in the 60s was the experiment. That's all the 60s were about. And once they started that, they got a hold of mankind. And mankind has bought into that. And so, we put these people on pedestals. George Bernard Shaw, guy's a liar. You see, these people deceive you. And they do this in college and universities. Look what I found. This is something I want to know. You see, this is something I got to know. I got to know something here. Come on, tell me more. George Meade is another one. I don't want to go any further because I basically just want to do a short snippet here. And the idea simply is you are the enemy. You are the one who is pushing these ideas. You are the one. And no one wants to hear that. They want to blame somebody else. When in reality, you are living your own lifestyle based upon what they taught you or your parents taught you. And like I said, psychology was never offered where I was at as a Bachelor of Science until recently, probably the last 5 to 10 years. Now it's being taught as a science. So now it's substantially true. Soft sciences are based upon what we call theories, observing behaviors, what could happen in this particular issue, what can happen there, such and such. But in reality simply is it's a soft science because it's not always proven. It's a theory. It's not actually true in some ways, so we can't put it in a category such and such. But if we can do this with psychology, we can make it a science, and then we can worship it. And that's what we're doing. Everyone goes to a psychologist. Oh, I've got an issue such and such. You talk to a perfect stranger and tell them all your problems. But this has been introduced in movies, you see. People go, so all this is being done, all of it's being steered. You're being steered. And so it's no longer considered a bad thing, so to speak, but now it's acceptable, social acceptance. And this is what we're doing. And we believe this nonsense because we never investigate. We never dig deep. And the time has come. The time is short, folks. I have a friend I talk to occasionally, and we talked. And the key is books are being destroyed little by little in libraries. They're being thrown away. No one wants them. They're old books. They don't have any knowledge. We don't want new stuff. That's the way people think. I want a new car, such and such. The old one doesn't work right, even though it gets you up and down the highway. This is the mentality, you see. So the old books that had some of this information in it are being tossed. In fact, I talked to a librarian at the University of South Carolina, Aiken yesterday for a brief period, and she told me they're already thinking of doing that. This is not a joke, folks. So without that knowledge, what do you think is going to happen here? You in other words, you're being able to try to trace back these information. What happened? What's going on here? You see, because they also, if they put out books, they promote their ideas. You see, and naturally, professors, teachers in school teach that. But when those books disappear, guess what? You don't have anything to go back to. And actually, the books are being destroyed. They're introduced in the internet. And the internet is not reliable, folks. You can always change the translations or whatever, and you think it's the original copy. You see? Better take care of yourself here. This is a war. And you got to understand simply, if you're in the majority, you're not on the right side. You see? Because the majority never gets it right. Never have and never will. Because they're always pulled with a carrot right in their face and just keep going on down. And next thing you know, they go across the cliff and have no idea what happened. Okay. Thank you very much. Wish you a beautiful day. Take care.